Give everybody a second to come on. This is Talk Colada, presented by Boot Crew Media, brought to you by Helm Paint and Decorating. Call 504-861-8179 or visit any of the 7 Helm Paint locations. They're everywhere. And this show is also brought to you by Bear Law LLC. We're going to get started with head football coach of the Jesuit High School Blue Jays, Ryan Manale, on Talk Colada in 3, 2, and 1.
At Bear Law LLC, we have the privilege of representing victims and survivors that are oftentimes involved in catastrophic incidents that affect their lives.
If anyone looking for a personal and loving relationship with law, I would choose Bear Law.
At Bear Law, our goal is to turn victims into victors.
What's up, sports fans, and welcome to Talk Colada, presented by Helm Paint. Coach Ryan Manale in the building, in the stream. We got about 10 viewers joining in. Feel free to leave a comment or ask a question as we look ahead to the high school football season, specifically in the Catholic League, with Jesuit's Thursday night game season opener at Tad Gormley at 7 p.m. against Slidell. Coach, welcome to the show. How are you feeling, and what's today look like for you, boss?
Well, thanks for having me. And I'll tell you, Helm Paint, I could talk a little bit about a senior, Braden Helm. And you don't know about all the paint and everything they do, but you talk about some great people. His mom's our senior liaison and does a fabulous job communicating to our parents and seniors. And Braden's is a first-class young man and, undersized, but gives us everything he has, every ounce of heart he has in him. And, looking forward to seeing him play defensive end tomorrow night.
No question. And Braden's the last of the 4 Helm boys who have gone through the Jesuit football system. And obviously I graduated with Ryan, the eldest of the Helm boys, class of 2013. But sorry, I don't know if that was on my end or yours, Coach, but audio should be good from here on out. So again, leave a comment, ask a question for Coach Ryan Manale. We're going to talk for about 20 minutes about the season, about the Catholic League in general, and just want to remind everybody that it is Jesuit night on Crescent City Sports and on the radio 106.1 with Ken Trahan Friday night. So again, Jesuit night is Friday night, big event. Coach Manale is going to be there as the analyst. He'll be live with Les East and Jude Young and Jesuit supporters at Francesca's by Katie's on Harrison Avenue. So that's Friday night. But tomorrow night, the clock is ticking for Coach Manale and the Jays to get a win on game 1. And Coach, what does that involve just this week? Let's run through Monday, Tuesday, and today as kind of the from the coaching perspective, what that looks like for your team and your squad.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I mean, I think it's accumulation of everything we've done since the end of last year leading up to having your team ready for week 1. And, we're excited about it. We have a good challenge in Slidell and Coach Scoble, who returns a lot of defensive players. So it should be a good challenge. This work week's been interesting. I mean, it's constantly a battle with the weather, lightning and rain. And, we're fortunate to have a turf field in John Ryan Stadium where we practice, so we're able to get enough in. We had to start our day 1 of the week on Saturday just because it's a short week. And, obviously, we don't do anything on Sundays here. And then, Monday we had practice. Tuesday, yesterday was an interesting practice as we went a little later. And then we actually had lightning and had to get off the field. And then today we'll have an extended, a little longer practice than normal, just to make sure that we're ready to go on Thursday night.
It's always like a little chuckle to me when, you say nothing happens on Sunday. Obviously, as a coach, you would be backed up against the wall if you made anybody in a Catholic school, commit to anything on Sunday. But I feel like, Coach, just between you and me, I feel like as a coach, you're always doing something. I feel like you're still reading the playbook on Sundays, even though it is a rest day.
Well, our coaching staff comes in. So
right.
Our coaching staff's in, and we're in morning through the evening, and it's it's a grind on Sundays, and it's something that we love and we're passionate about doing. And I'm blessed to have a great staff with me. And but the players, usually they're not coming in on Sundays.
Coach, we were talking a little bit about before we started the leadership of this team. Obviously, losing a guy like Jack Lariviere and all the New Orleans sports world is behind that guy as he chases a track and field career at LSU. And I think we both know he could have played football somewhere, but when you have an offer to go to Louisiana State University and be one of the top guys in javelin, right?
Yep, javelin.
Yeah, and I mean, when you have that opportunity, it's hard to turn that down. So we love and support what Jack Lariviere has done and continues to do at the collegiate athletic level. But losing a guy like that, we were talking about leaders of the team and how you kind of decide captains. Could you just talk a little bit about, the transition from Jack Lariviere to your new quarterback, Bo Perez, and how you decide the captains on the Jesuit football team?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, captains, we kind of do it a little different. So, if you're a senior that makes it through our program, you're going to be a captain for one of the games. We have 3 seniors starting tomorrow night on the field, and we go all the way through every senior through each week of the season. As I feel those guys are all captains of the team. I don't have a limited 3 or 4 captains. We do it a little different. We do a leadership council. We really don't have true 4 captains that traditionally programs have had. We have a leadership committee, a kind of council that kind of starts what they did over the summer, what they do in the scrimmage, jamboree, kind of like what we call like a training camp these days in today's day and age. And then we get through week 1. And so once we perform in week 1, now our whole team has a good outlook of how everybody is off the field. We've now been in school for a few weeks because that's a big part of our culture. So they can really decide who the leaders are. And the way we do it, we have a couple seniors, a junior, sophomore, and a freshman that make up a leadership council that meets with me once a week. And then they kind of, relay things to the guys. They're able to just talk to me. They're able to bring up things, and whether it's on the field, off the field, or whatever we can do better to enhance the player experience at Jesuit High School, really in the classroom, football field, anything that we could do as coaches and mentors and support staff for my players. That's what we try to talk about and do.
Coach, our tough question presented by Bear Law LLC. Visit bearlawllc.com if you ever have an issue with personal injury, inadequate security, or any really security-based needs. Jason Bear over at Bear Law, give him a call. Check out their website, and they are going to ask the tough questions for you, their client, to help you with your case or to put together a good case for you. So the tough question presented by Bear Law LLC is, Coach, the obvious question that I'm sure you've gotten and will continue to get at least for the next week before, you put behind everything from last season and start this 2022 season, is the 14-10 loss to Catholic in the state championship. Your team finished 10-1 last season, 6-0 in the division. That's your overall coaching record at Jesuit, a phenomenal start to your Jesuit football coaching career. You beat John Curtis 14-13. You beat Brother Martin 28-10. And obviously the tough loss to Catholic in Ullman Stadium for the state title game. Coach, but while you put that behind you, what can you take away from that game and the guys who return from that game to start this season?
Well, they kind of learn and grow together. And, I think that last game, there's a lot of things we believe in. That's keys to victory. And our guys that's in this program now for second year, they know exactly what they are. And I think you can look at that game and pinpoint exactly, where we were beating that game by a very good football team in Catholic High. But it was a great, successful year. And I just can't wait to see how this upper class and this team, how they develop and how they gel and who steps up as a leader, as you mentioned, in Jack Lariviere. Just when he walked on the field, he was in command of the offense. And, on the defense side, had the same thing with Dennis Doherty and
Mhm.
Canizero and many others. So, I mean, who's going to step up and be them leaders on the field? We can only do so much off the field. And it's really, your best players need to be your best leaders. I think they'd be a great team. And, so there was a lot of things learned last year. It's really just learning about the program. And now we have an opportunity to sustain excellence. And that's what we talk about. And, I plan on coaching, for many, many years. And, but these senior class only gets that chance. Last time we competed in the state championship in 2014 over here at Jesuit. 2015 followed up with a 1-5 district record, and in our district, top to bottom, every single game is a battle. And it's very easy to be defeated in this league and still be a very good football team. And so how do we handle some adversities that we're going to be thrown our way this year, and can we sustain excellence? And that's what we talk about.
Thanks for that, Coach. And you mentioned Jack Riviere and Canizero and Joe Barnett and Doherty and some of the guys you lost, some of the solid players and leaders of your team that are returning who did play in that state championship game last season. You mentioned Braden Helm, and we'll be doing Helm Paint High School reports through this channel all season long, not just Jesuit games, but Brother Martin this Friday, some of these other teams. Coach, I think that's on your end.
It is, and I'm going to tell you, I'm not too good with technology. So you
might just need to hit the mute button. It's all good. You might just need to hit the mute button on whatever computer's blanking. But I know you're a busy guy. That's just an email notification. It's no big deal, Coach. I'm sorry. But no, look to wait, what?
I said I apologize. I don't know how to operate to get that off without muting me off, I think.
No, it's all good. You can just tell whoever's emailing you that they messed you up. No, I'm just joking. But some of the best players returning, right? You mentioned Braden Helm, but also always good and to focus and highlight the special teams. William Hudlow, Aiden Corbello, your punter and your kicker, respectively, coming back. And then also guys like Jace Larson, obviously, star wide receiver, Roland Wagaspack, offensive lineman, Dominic Lojadis, linebacker. Specifically on the special teams, though, Coach, how confident are you in these guys, not just as players for Jesuit, but as, players who have a chance to play football in the future?
No doubt. I mean, I think we're blessed with a punter and a kicker that are both seniors. Both had a great off season. We added John Corbello to our staff, our developing our kickers, and I just think they did a great job over the summer developing them. Right now, through a small sample jamboree, which only had a limited special teams, they both executed the way we need them to. And I kind of said this once: our best players, they need to perform. They need to be the best leaders. And I'm fortunate to have Aiden and William, and both of them guys are great leaders. And I look at Big Hudlow kicking. I mean, I don't think anybody outworks him in the weight room. He's one of them guys that just gets after it. And blessed to have both them young men in this program. Not just, for me to have in the locker room when I know I'm not in there. Those are guys I trust, and they can help lead a football team in the right direction.
One of the big standout position groups for Jesuit over recent years has been the defensive line. I mean, you start with, at least from what I can remember when I was covering the team, Perry Gansey, who's at ULL, I believe, or no, sorry, Nickel State. And some of these other big names. I mean, the guys that we just mentioned, right? Joe Barnett with that huge blocked extra point. A blocked field goal or an extra point?
Block extra point in the game. Basically win the game.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal play. I think I still have the video saved on my phone. But point being, standout defensive linemen can always lead your defense and maybe not be the ones calling the plays, but can ignite the fire and really bring confidence to your defensive guys. You mentioned Braden Helm. Talk about him and some of your other new defensive linemen who are going to be starting for the first time. I'm seeing Washington, Rowell, and Ufnak. I'm sorry if I pronounced those names wrong, but just talk about your D linemen if you could for me.
Yeah, it's a battle on our defensive front. We lost basically most all our seniors from last year. Braden Helm returns. Like I said, he's undersized for a defensive lineman. You look at him and you think he's a defensive back. but he gives every ounce of effort that he has. He's a technician. He's looking to get better every day, and obviously he's a young man that I'd go to war with any day. The other guys up front, we have a lot of them that's going to be rotating in, and his jobs are not one right now. Hunter Ufnak, I mean, he's solid. Played for us last year, gave us some good minutes. He's also 3-4 hitter in the baseball team, all around great young man. Patrick Riles, a senior that's competing. That's he's one of them kids that I want on my team. He has that confidence and swagger about him that but he's undersized as well. Josh Washington's the intriguing one. He's one that is back playing football. He didn't play last year with us, which he definitely could have used. But
basketball player too, right?
Yeah, very good basketball player that we're blessed to have right now and developing and trying to see what his role is going to be on that defensive line / tight end spots.
Mm-hmm.
We
get a two-way player.
Well, we'll do what we have to do if we need to. But Joey Haas is another senior involved there, number 91. He's going to be in that rotation battling for a spot, amongst many others. I think we rolling pretty deep, 9-10 guys on the defensive line. You'll see play tomorrow night. That's all competing for that front four starting job.
Well, hey, we just got the final roster cuts made on the Saints end of things. I got the email of the players that they had to obviously terminate the contracts, the tough business part of the Saints. But I mean, just like you said, 9 defensive linemen, I believe that's the exact number that the Saints kept. Obviously had to, get rid of Taco Charlton. But you need obviously not only diversity in talent and physical size and attributes on the defensive line, but also guys who can step in and play nose tackle or whatever it may be. So good to see some depth there and some guys growing there, especially guys like Josh Washington, who's a phenomenal athlete from what I hear. Coach, on the wide receiver, and I don't want to go through every position group because we're 24 hours away from being able to see it on the field, and obviously I'll ask you a little bit more after the game about some position groups that have stood out. But one big interest of mine is the obvious star on your offense, right, is Jace Larson, who had a phenomenal season last year, some huge catches in playoff games and touchdowns and everything you really could ask for as far as talent goes. Just talk about his maturity, not just on the football field, but off. And then I have a follow-up question about your wide receiver position group.
Yeah, absolutely. Jace is a young man that's, he's one of them guys that's kind of caught where Jack was, Dennis was, and a bunch of other guys you mentioned that were seniors last year. This whole transfer portal day and age in college, I think has him a lot weighing on his mind in the summer. He played a lot of 7-on-7. He's one of the better receivers that I've coached. He's one of the better receivers in the state, and he's humble enough to know that, he's okay with sharing the ball a little bit. He's one that we know that we're going to see different coverages against. That he's going to draw double teams that he deserves, and we're blessed to have a stable group of running back receivers under Coach Jambaluka that's really developing them guys into role players to give them something. That way we have outlets to go to when teams start really keen on Jace. So but Jace works extremely hard. I think about the youth camp we had over the summer, watching him run around and play with them guys. So he's developing as a person, and I'm glad to see he's back on the basketball court as well. So just another multi-sport player and a quality young man that you want to see play football. You want to get out there and see him play, and and hopefully he has his best year as a senior. That's what you always hope for.
You bring up an interesting point, Coach, and if this is not something you even want to dive into, it's totally fine. No big deal, no hard feelings. But you bring up an interesting point when you talk about the transfer portal. And I'm not asking about one player in particular. I'm more asking just from the perspective of how the NIL has changed the way that student athletes, both high school and college, think and perform, and how colleges even recruit. Just from your perspective as a high school football coach, do you see that puts a lot of added pressure on some of these, players who are already committing to colleges in their senior year?
Yeah, I mean, it does. I think it's a whole different. It's a new world, and I think that I don't know enough about it right now. All I know is that the high school players that we have in this area that could play college football is really hampered by it. I know guys that we coached last year. We went to a state championship game at the highest classification in Louisiana, and it's tough to get guys into college to play college football. They're all looking at who's that top guy in D3, who's the top guy in D2, who's the top guy here and there.
Arch Manning.
And I mean, unless you are that type, like an Arch Manning type that people know that are just going to go in right away and they going to be immediate impact for that college. They're looking at the guys that already played some type of college ball, and it really hampers our young people. And I think the whole NIL stuff, I think there's so many uncertainties with that come with it, and there's going to be pressures, and there's no doubt it's going to be trickling to high school, and it's already has, from what I understand in some places. I think we're blessed here at Jesuit that we have a school where, yes, we want to send off kids to college, and our kids have big, they're lucky to have a good, family life at home and a good head on their shoulders, and they know what they want to do to be successful. And it's not just about going to find some NIL deal. It's not just about going to college that just wants them in football. They know what they want, and blessed to be in that situation, which not everybody's in. But I do think that it is a tough time right now for juniors and seniors, and I do think they're going to have something come down the pipeline on sooner or later to limit some of this.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I think you make a great point there, and again, I'll be covering as many schools as possible. Obviously, with transportation budget, the Catholic League is going to be a priority, and obviously some Newman and Country Day games as well. With Arch Manning, committing to Texas and being able to watch, a future star of college football play. But, at the same time, this whole idea is so interesting to me, Coach, because it's almost like a year or two from now, and maybe y'all are already discussing this, and high schools and the LHSAA are already discussing this, but it seems like in a year or two, you might even have a position or a part-time position on staff that's really focusing on kind of monitoring this stuff. But also at the same time, how important is kind of strength and conditioning this time of year when it comes to those things? Because as you mentioned, these D3 guys that are getting looks, a lot of it has to do with size, right? I mean, you could be the fastest guy in the Catholic League, but if you're not 6'2", 210, 220 pounds, you might not even get a look from an SEC school or a big team. And regardless of NIL deals, that seems to be just really interesting to me. Again, I don't want to say it's unfair. I don't want to say it's too much. But as you mentioned, it does add a little pressure. And it's just interesting to me if you think, go ahead and offer any of your thoughts. Do you think that's something that could happen very soon with LHSA or Catholic League teams, that they have a position dedicated to kind of monitoring that stuff?
Well, I kind of hope that I like it staying as pure as possible for high school kids. I think there's too many pressures right now that they have to deal with today's day and age with just social media, just period, for a high schooler. Right. My biggest advice is, to my team, bloom where they planted. I think when you start looking ahead and looking at the days ahead, you blink a little bit and you lose focus of where you're at. And these are the days that you're going to remember for the rest of your lives, no matter where you go. The higher level you go up, the more of a business it is. So that's kind of a message to our guys. I know at Jesuit High School, we're not going to fall behind, but as long as we can keep it pure for high schoolers and the importance of the task at hand, both on the field and off the field, and we're developing that character, that accountability in young men, we feel we're doing our jobs. So, I think everybody's going to handle it different. And like I said, we'll never fall behind. I firmly believe that. But as long as we can keep it pure for these high schoolers, and I can convince them, try not to blink, bloom where they plan it. And I know it's a tough day and age to do that, but we're going to try our best to do that.
I mean, just fantastic answer first off, and like a great explanation to kind of put into perspective for high school athletes now or in the future. So I really appreciate that, Coach. I didn't plan on going this much into depth into those kind of pressures, but I plan on interviewing a couple different high school football coaches, Mark Bonice of Brother Martin, and the Catholic high football coach, and some of these other schools in the Catholic League. And I guess you were just the hamster, the test run for asking that question. So I appreciate it. I don't really want to dive into that too much, but it is just an interesting thought, and I think you make a great point. And I also want to say, I think maybe a little biased of me to say this, but the schools in the Catholic League and some of these great schools in the New Orleans area are preparing these young men and young women to focus on education, regardless of any offers or NIL deals that may come their way, if they're lucky enough. And so I think obviously Jesuit, Brother Martin, and all the schools in the Catholic League do a good job of keeping, their guys focused on the task at hand and the game ahead and the test and the quiz ahead as well. So thank you for talking about that, Coach. To close out the show, just talk about the Jesuit student body, the Gizzard, the fans that you expect to see tomorrow night at Tad Gormley, and the tailgate, the atmosphere, the band, the cheerleaders, everything that goes into the season opener.
No, it's exciting. I mean, I still have the memory, the positive memory I had at the state championship. That was the best is that Gizzard. And, I wound up finding and searching pictures and trying to find different ways. Our last two games in the semifinals and finals were two of the biggest crowds I've ever coached in, that some small colleges never get the opportunity to coach in. When we played Brother Martin in the semifinals and then played Catholic at Tulane in the state, and that Gizzard gets it going. Right now, I know some excitement about the Gizzard merch. I think they could buy it right now. The headband, the shirt, So I actually had a couple coaches walking here this week with the Gizzard merch because they went and bought it. Just the excitement that the Gizzard, that's our student body that comes to the games, and I think it's second to none. And then, all the alums that come back and fans. I mean, it's a special place to coach, and it's a special night when the Jays take the field. And this week it happens to be tomorrow night, 7 p.m. at Tad Gormley versus Slidell in our opener before we travel to Ruston to play, one of the top teams in the state.
Final thought for you, just a fun question. If you had to, I always like asking this because I consider myself decent, maybe above average at public speaking or pump up speeches, and that might be from my dad, who was a college basketball coach and was always kind of the guy who could pump everybody up. For you, what's your go-to? What gets you going to give a good pump up speech before a game? And to follow up on that, if you had to pick one player on your team this year and one assistant coach, who gives the best pump up speech?
Well, player, I'm going to tell you, and you touched a little bit on in the state championship of Catholic High, when you had your post-game closeout, the interviews we had to do, Dominic Lojadis, our linebacker, number one, was in there. He was the only underclassman that was in there for us. So he got to see that. He's a young man that he gets you going in practice. He's the one that's running around. He's the one, when I call everybody up, I try to jog away from him sometimes, but he got to sprint. And he sprints so darn fast to me. He's right up in my face, and I got to keep backing up. He's about to knock me out with his
He's going to run you over.
He will. He will. And, I love him. He's a throwback, plays with the neck roll. I'd have to say he's one of the top ones. And then as far as coaches, we have a few of them guys. We're fortunate to have a young man that helps out, in the weight room with us during the school year. He does with me and a few other guys, does our strength conditioning. Coach Derek Martin, and he's the guy that kind of brings the juice. He sets up the speakers at practice, at games.
You got to have a juice man, Coach.
He's the juice man, and he jumps around. I think the kids feed off of it, and he's a big kid himself. So they have a good time together, and we're blessed to have just everybody involved in our program that can give the best experience for our young men.
Coach Ryan Manale, head football coach at Jesuit High School, as the Jays host Slidell tomorrow night, Thursday night, 7 p.m. Tad Gormley. Coach, a final word to the Blue Jays to the community, to the Gizzard, and all high school football fans. Are you ready for some football? Coach, send us away with a shout out to the fans.
No doubt. Can't wait to see you guys tomorrow night and throughout the season. You are the best. You know, one day when I'm done and retired, I just want to sit in that Gizzard and experience it and jump around and do all the things you guys do. Keep at it, you know, and together we're going to keep on developing Jesuit High School and see them Jays on top.
Cue the music, Jump Around by House of Pain. Coach Ryan Manale, thanks a bunch for joining the show. This is Talk Colada, where we talk a lot of sports. For Coach, I'm Jack Colada, and we are signing out. Peace and love. Thanks, man.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for all you do.